Switch gears to football, man, Pete, because I think in baseball, you get the press talking about what happened here. And I wanted to talk about a quote from our boy Jackson Cantwell, number one player in the country, number one offensive lineman in the country, number one shot putter in the country, and becoming number one quote in the country, man. This guy's got great interviews. He's super smart. And he's starting to talk like a Cane, man. So this is the quote. He wrote like an op-ed, I guess, for the local paper out there in Southwest Missouri, just saying why he decided to commit to Miami, kind of countering the narrative that you see from rival fans and media that's in the pocket of the SEC, just talking about how he took the money. And here's his quote. He goes, why, talked about Miami, why he liked him, Mirabal, Cristobal, etc. Yeah, there we go. Like and subscribe to this show. Appreciate you, Mikey. So he goes, Miami has a chip on their shoulder and the mentality that they're going to prove any doubters wrong. And there have been a lot of doubters, but I take pride in how many doubters there truly are. Penei Sewell was doubted for committing to Mario Cristobal and Mirabal. So was Francis Mauanoa. People don't like it when the youth threatens to come back, and it has only gotten better throughout Cristobal's tenure. You want to talk about a quote that's going to fire up Miami Hurricane fans. I don't know if it gets any better than that, between him taking pride in how many doubters there are, both of himself and the University of Miami, and then people don't like it when the youth threatens to come back. There's like a cliche on Miami Hurricanes boards, like the CanesInSight.com, 7 million posts and counting. Sign up for free. But when you see a quote like that, man, it kind of gets you fired up. He's already adjusted to being a Cane.
Canes Cats Heat 305 asked if they printed this in the paper and if they sell the paper copy of these. He wants to get this thing framed already, man.
It's a good quote. Shout out to Canes Cat Heat, man. He's going to get this one framed. So when it goes top 10, after Penei Sewell went top 10, after Francis Mauanoa goes top 10, when Cantwell goes top 10, you put this quote up with the picture there. So yeah, I think it came out in the paper. Yeah. Southwest Missouri is a big story out there, obviously, when the best player in the country commits and goes across the country to University of Miami.
And everything that he says, D, just sounds like a kid who's been he's well researched, obviously, and there's a lot of stuff in recruiting where, yes, facts are going to be presented in front of a player, but sometimes there's just a feeling, right? And sometimes there's a prospect just wants to go to a certain school because that's where they want to go, and some of these facts are kind of thrown out the window. I think with Cantwell, you saw a guy who, when they did these final presentations, right, it was there sitting there taking notes and really taking the information in, as opposed to sitting there and kind of just having people throw this stuff at him and it, going through one ear and out the other. It's obviously he's retained a lot of the stuff that they told him throughout the recruitment, and it actually meant something to him. So I think it's impressive, some of the stuff he's able to rattle off.
Yeah, man, he's smart. He studies, like you said. What I liked is he talked about how Mirabal was the most objective, and then later on in the article it says Mirabal's the most objective recruiter he had, which tells me that, and he said they had a detailed plan, which, knowing a little bit, I don't know exactly the specifics, but I suspect that Mirabal kind of gave him a plan saying, hey, look, I watched your clips in the Under Armour game. I watched your high school clips. Pass blocking is your weakness. Here are the areas where I think you can work on. Here's what we're going to do. Here's exactly how we're going to get you right in this area. And a smart guy like Cantwell does his homework. When you do your homework, that's a connection there. So I think the fact that he's so well-versed in everything played into someone like Mirabal, who does his homework on his end and will really show how he can help this guy get better. We got a great comment here from Patrick Bass of Pop Subs. He's saying, fellas, the Bell Burgers are flying over here after that great commercial with Pete and Markel Bell. You can check out that interview. If you haven't seen it, it's on our YouTube channel. Pete
Johnny Lagoon said he was over there this weekend. He said he got one and it was fire. So glad to hear that, man. Again, it goes to a great cause. So go support Markel. And it's the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And he's going to be doing a back-to-school drive as well before the year. Question here from Gabe D. Jamal asked, and I think this is something we should clarify, D, because we were talking about some of the workouts. Saw the players doing some individual, the wide receivers we spoke about yesterday, doing a lot of the individual work, and that was with a guy, Top Shelf TJ, who's a wide receiver coach who actually some of our guys, when I was doing the agency stuff full time, trained with him. One of my guys in particular trained with him. Dawood Davis, actually, the creator of the Cam Ward celebration. I know some people don't want to hear it, but anyways, he was a guy who came in and worked out with them, individually, but the team workouts they have their normal weightlifting stuff, but then they also have the player-led workouts, right? And they get on the field, and this is no coaches. From what I understand, there is still some coach involvement, right? That's changed over the last few years. The NCAA rules has allowed some coach stuff to a very limited degree, but they're pretty much on the field out there, 7-on-7 stuff, a lot of stuff obviously without pads on. But yes, there's not really media coverage. These aren't real practices, but these are important. And you start to hear buzz about certain guys that, as we'll talk about later in the show, someone like Bryce Fitzgerald, who's now on campus, and you're starting to see pictures of him working out. And, he's a guy who wasn't able to enroll early, but guys like him, and we heard last year, guys like OJ Frederick at this time, Jordan Lyle, who had just arrived on campus. That's when we started to hear the buzz about them. So I think Fitzgerald was the only guy who wasn't here already, D, right? Am I correct on saying that? So Not as many this year, but a lot of these young freshmen who were here for spring, remember, they're still high school players. And I think you see a big jump for them now in the summer when they're able to really, you're not worried as much about football stuff. You're in the weight room, and you can get a lot of like skilled, detailed work in. And I think there's a lot of growth for those guys in this period.
No question. And look, you got all the new arrivals from the transfer portal. So it's just a cool
portal too. Yeah.
It's just a cool time period. And we did that long video yesterday with JoJo Trader and CJ Daniels and Keelan Marion, who just arrived from BYU, and seeing how those guys worked out. That video did crazy, man. Like guys watching routes on air is pulling huge numbers. So, Canes Nation, CanesInSight fans are excited for the season to start. Some more excitement on Cantwell here. Kerry C saying Cantwell's going to have some growing pains and pass protect, but he will be fine by season's beginning. I think we saw it in the Under Armour that was his weakness. He goes, listen, I'm not ready to play at Miami right now. I know my pass protection is not good enough. My plan is to get ready to play by the time the season starts, next season for 2026, which would be his first year. So he's conscientious. He knows what he needs to do, but this is a guy with a 4.7 shuttle in high school verified. He's 6'7", 320 maybe at this point, with 33-inch arms, big hands, and he's got the most power of any player we've ever seen in his hands with that shot put. So combine that with a guy who's conscientious and wants to be coached and a great coach, and you could see quick improvement. It reminds me of those Iowa guys. I keep comparing to the Iowa, like the Brandon Scherfs of the world, guys that really had size and were lean but powerful, athletic, and really worked on their technique to be, by the time they came out of Iowa, they had the best technique around, even though they might have played like 8-man football or smaller football in the Midwest. By the time they finished, they were extremely technical. So I could see Cantwell, who didn't play at the smallest level. I mean, he was in a big high school there in Nixon, Missouri, but I think he's going to have a similar progression as far as really learning the technique because he wants to, and he has the talent to learn, and he has good coaching. Someone's asking, is Cantwell eligible for the University of Miami Hall of Fame? Drago saying, go Canes, go Cantwell. A lot of love for the new 5-star for the Miami Hurricanes. Got some more stuff for you here, but